Love to hear your views on the Bitcoin markets. Where is Bitcoin headed? We saw it take a bit of a spike earlier. What is your near-term outlook?
Well, I want to preface saying that, I'm a long-term investor, and I think anybody buying Bitcoin today has to think long-term. We've seen a huge appreciation in the last 6 months, so there is some risk of a substantial pullback in Bitcoin, which is normal for Bitcoin. So I think investors have to look out over the long term, and the long term looks incredibly bright for digital assets, starting with Bitcoin probably being the biggest beneficiary of this move as people seek new places to put money where it won't be debased by governments.
Do you have a price target for your long-term view? How are you modeling Bitcoin, if at all?
I don't model Bitcoin like that because I think Bitcoin isn't a stock. So I can't really say, oh, it's going to earn so and so it should be valued at so and so. Okay. Bitcoin's value rises and falls based off what you were just saying, how many people use it and what's its utility. So the bigger the network gets, the more valuable Bitcoin becomes. And what we're seeing now, what I'm doing at my firm and what we're seeing that's behind us is huge institutional participation in Bitcoin, number one. And number two, these ETFs, which will eventually get approved, will add, potentially billions and billions of more, tens of billions more into the Bitcoin market. So there's very, very positive monetary flow and a huge amount of interest from the public. So we have no doubt that Bitcoin will be higher or more valuable in the future. How much so, I think a lot depends on how Bitcoin itself behaves now that it's successful.
All right. You say institutional interest, and it's been reported that your company will soon start purchasing Bitcoin and Ether on the Gemini exchange on behalf of your clients. Tell me a bit about this new service and the kind of demand that you're hearing and who you're hearing it from.
Well, I'm proud to say we're probably the first RIA in the world to put Bitcoin on our own balance sheet, which we did over the last several weeks, and beginning our relationship with Gemini. And then what we're seeing, so we serve a generally younger demographic than most firms. And what we're seeing from our clients, not only have they already been involved with Bitcoin, many with Coinbase and other accounts, there's enormous interest and desire to learn more and understand the risks as well. So we realized there was a place for giving digital advice. And because I've been involved with Bitcoin for now 7 years and have been fortunate enough to be educated by some of the best Bitcoin people in the world, I have, I think, a greater knowledge about digital assets than anybody in my industry in traditional finance. So it gives us an edge in being in these markets. And so we felt with our position from an advice perspective, and now having institutions like Gemini that we can trust to put substantial assets in, Bitcoin has finally grown up enough to be an institutional asset.
What's your reaction when you heard Morgan Stanley is also offering its wealthy clients access to 3 Bitcoin funds, according to a CNBC report? Does this kind of confirm what you're hearing out there in terms of demand from clients?
Yeah, so that's why we're rushing to get this going, because these banks, man, they're getting their lunch, stolen from them, and they want to be in this, and they're going to go in big time. It's guys like me that jump into these things because we get it, and we put pressure on all of our competitors because we take business from them if they don't offer these products to their clients. And clients want access to digital investments, and they want to do it safely, and they want to get some advice. And that's something that my firm can do that these other firms can't do at this time. But what that means is behind us is a lot of capital that will continue to push Bitcoin higher, and it's very bullish for Bitcoin investors.
All right. I also took a little look at your Twitter. You tweeted basically all the people, and this is switching subjects, basically all the people clamoring about inflation are the ones old enough to remember it. It's been that long. There is no inflation. Can you put these comments in context of the Fed meeting yesterday, sticking to easy money policies, keeping rates near zero until 2023? Why can there be all this money floating around out there, but no inflation?
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time thinking about this issue, and it's been going on for a long time, where the government has been printing, substantial amounts of money for a long time, and it hasn't really created real inflation in the economy. It's created inflation in asset values like real estate and the stock market and the bond market, but they haven't really created inflation in the real economy. My basic belief is that our biggest battle is against, disinflation or deflation because of technology and globalization. And that's what has been happening in this world for the last 20 or 30 years. Now, when I was a little kid, was the last time there was real inflation. And this was the 70s. And I remember this as a child when gas prices soared. And the reason there was inflation was because America was 100% energy dependent on the Middle East. We had a little conflict in the Middle East, and they just cut off oil from us. Now you think about today, where not only are we the largest producer of energy in the world, we also have an unlimited supply of oil and energy. So energy prices really can't go up. And then you look at labor, there's a tremendous slack in the labor market. There, just printing money doesn't necessarily create any real jobs and real economic growth. And so we aren't seeing the kind of real growth that we need to create inflation, and we haven't seen that in a long time. And so long, I think it was the 90s the last time I saw real growth in the economy that wasn't temporary. And so we started getting it going. Some of the Trump policies were really good for business, and it started getting going. And then the pandemic has come now. So I still think the biggest issue we're going to face is deflation over the next 5 years, not inflation. And any temporary increase in prices will be offset next year when there's no stimulus, and we're going to have to raise taxes. So nobody's talking about that they're going to be raising taxes next year, and they're doing all these anti-growth ideas that come in as soon as things get good again. So why am I worried about inflation? It's a waste of energy. We're going to have zero rates again. It's just a matter of time.